Welcome. This is going to be a quick, short practice focusing on our hands and our feet just to get them warmed up and prepared for our day. This is also really good to prevent stiffness and injury, and oftentimes we don't really pay that much attention to our hands and our feet, but they're really important for everything we do throughout our day. So let's begin just by moving the fingers. So rolling in, making a fist, and curling your fist towards your elbows, and then the thumb leads and roll out. Flex your wrists. And curl in, and tuck, and roll out, and flex. And just go back and forth. Now interlace your fingers, and we'll do some wrist waves. So starting at your right elbow, lift up, and flex and extend the wrists as you roll across. Take some time to bring the heels of the hands together before you lift the opposite wrist up. And just see if you can make this a fluid, continuous movement. You'll move from the opposite direction. And now press your palms outward as you round your spine back behind you. And lift your arms up, reaching your palms up as high as you can as you root the tailbone down and draw the low ribs in. And release your fingers, expand outward. Externally rotate the shoulders, reach up. And float the hands down again. So bring your hand forward and take the opposite hand and place your fingers close to the base of your hand. Keep your wrists straight at first and just pull the fingers back. You don't need to force anything, just see how much movement there is there. So we're stretching out the fingers, and then you can flex the wrist. So we're stretching out the wrist. And let's do the same thing other side. So start with a straight wrist, pull the fingers back, and you may not get barely any movement at all, but just see how much movement is available to you. Then flex the wrists and same thing. And then just make fists with your hands and roll out the wrists. You can do figure eights, reverse the direction of your figure eights. And make fists with your hands, bring the knuckles together. Keep the knuckles pressing into each other. So this would be knuckles apart, this is knuckles together. So push in and then reach your hands out, trying to straighten your arms. This is going to be a big stretch across the back of your wrists. And bring your hands in, elbows bent, and back out again. And just go back and forth. Slow enough so that you can feel this stretch and see if you can get a little bit more movement as you continue to work through this. Now cross your right wrist on top of the left wrist, face your palms towards each other, and interlace your fingers. Roll your hands towards your chest, bring the elbows as close together as you can, and try and straighten the arms out. So you may not be able to straighten the arms out all the way. That's okay. Just go as far as you're able to. And you could bring a little more swing into this if you like. And if you wanted to, you could even bow forward and reach up. Just going back and forth. And release your hands, spread them out again. Cross the left wrist on top with the left pinky on top. Interlace your fingers again. And just begin that nice, easy movement. Or maybe easy isn't the right word. It just depends, the flexibility of your arms, of your wrists. And then maybe add a little more movement if you like. Good, and release. So let's come onto our hands and knees, and we're just going to massage our forearms. So you can take the opposite arm, and you can press down gently and just slide from your wrist to your elbow. You could go in the opposite direction, but it feels like more, I don't know, fluid if you go from the wrist to the elbow. And notice how when you press into your wrist, the fingers just naturally want to curl. And let's do the same thing other side. And now come onto your hands and knees in tabletop. Spin your fingers out to face the sides of the mat. And you can bring your heels of your hands in as close as you want. Closer it is, the more stretch you'll get. Just lean from side to side. You can circle around your wrists. Reverse the circles. Now, if you can, spin your hands toward your knees. If you can't, keep your hands where they are. And rock forward and back, or side to side if your fingers are still facing to the side. And again, do some circles. Start to grip the mat with your finger pads so you feel your arms engaging. Reverse the circles. Come back to center. Flip your hands so the palms face up. Now you can bring your hands right by your knees and put very little weight on your hands. Or you could bring the hands further away and you could shift more weight into your hands. But you just want to stretch back. This is stretching out the top of the wrist, just like when we had our hands in fists with the knuckles together. Now flip your hands and bring your wrists up. So you're balancing over the ridge tops of your hands right by the base of your fingers. And then lower the heels of the hands down and lift up and lower and lift back and forth. So that you know what it's like to bring weight forward in toward your fingers. Bring your heels down and grip the mat so the middle knuckles lift up a little bit. And circle around your hands. Both directions. Come back to center, come up onto your finger pads and see if you can shift weight into your fingers and shift forward and back. So you're not right on the tip of your fingernails, you're like on the pads of the fingers below them. So if you have long nails, this might be a little more challenging. And then come back with your palms down, but with your arms, your hands activated, and begin to do some cat-cows. So press down and pull your hands toward your knees to arch your spine. And then press down and forward to round your spine. And just go back and forth. Good. Sit back on your heels. Now you can use a pencil with an eraser to do this, or you can use your fingers. But if you lift your fingers up, you'll see these tendons that pop up, and we want to massage in between. So you can take your thumb or your fingers and just like press into the webbing between your thumb and your index finger. Notice if it's tender, if there's any sore spots. And just go as deep as it feels right. So not so much that you're in pain, although even for some people, just a little bit of pressure might feel painful. And then we'll do the same thing between the webbing of each finger. So you do a little back and forth movement, then press down, and then go up a little further, back and forth, and press down. So there's a lot of capillaries and veins and nerves and fascia between the fingers. And then move on to between the third and the fourth finger. And notice what you feel. There's a lot of different texture in there. Again, you don't want to press down so hard that you could bruise your bones. But you want to get in there and just notice how it feels. Good, and then just open and close your hand, the fingers, spreading them and tucking them in, and then shake out your hand. Let's do the same thing with the other hand. So massage between the webbing of the thumb and the index finger, and then between the second and third finger. And you're going to slowly move up towards the wrist. You can do this several times a day, just for maybe a minute each time. And then open and close. And let's come and work on the feet a little bit. So cross your left ankle above your right knee. Take the fingers of your right hand and thread them between your toes, getting all the way to the base of your fingers and the base of your toes. And if you haven't done this before, you maybe take a little effort to wiggle them down in there. And take the thumb of your left hand to massage your left foot. As you move the foot around, you can twist, you can flex, extend. So we have 26 bones in our feet, 33 joints, and over 100 tendons and ligaments, which means our foot is meant to move. It's not meant to be rigid. We have 3 arches of our feet: the medial arch, the lateral arch, and the transverse arch. You could put a little traction by grabbing the toes and kind of extending them out. Release your hands and place your index finger at the base of your big toe and just see if you can widen it out to the side a little bit. And then you could do a little bit of that same kind of massage that we did with our hands in between the metatarsals of the toes. Starting between the big toe and the second toe, and then second toe and third toe. Third toe and fourth toe, and then the pinky toe and the fourth toe. Just slowly working your way up. And now just see if you can lift your big toe up and lower it down, and then lift the other 4 toes up. Good. Cross your ankle again and take your hand to the top of your foot and curl your toes under. You can push your toes into your hand as you pull, giving a big stretch to this whole front of your leg, top of your foot. Good. And release. And let's do the same thing other side. So thread the fingers of your hand in between your toes, getting to the base of the fingers and the base of the toes. And start to move all around in all different directions. Massaging your foot with your right thumb. And really working those 3 arches. The medial arch, the lateral arch, the transverse arch. And make sure you twist your foot and maybe give it a little traction. And slide your fingers out and massage in between. So you can take your index finger, just encourage that big toe to go away from the second toe. And if you have bunions or even like the start of bunions, this may be a little tricky, but just do the best you can. And then take your fingers and start to massage in between the metatarsals. Again, you could use like the eraser head of a pencil to do this. You can use your fingers and then go between the second and third toe. Between the third and fourth toe. Just going back and forth and then moving up a little bit. Between the fourth and the fifth toe. I'm going through this kind of quickly just to show you. And now, see if you can lift your big toe up and lower it down. Lift the other 4 toes up and lower them down. Now let's come to sitting on our heels. And if this hurts your knees, you can sit up a little bit. Bring your hands behind you, lift your hips up, and stretch your knees forward, pressing your hips forward to your knees, squeezing your glutes, stretching out the quads. Then lower down and see if you can pick your knees up. This is going to stretch out the top of your feet. Good. Lower back down again. And come on into a squat. Come on up to stand. We'll just do one more thing, just coming up to balancing on our toes. Lift up, pushing into the big toe mound, and lower down. Keep a little posterior tilt of the pelvis, and just lift and lower. You might lose your balance for a second, depending on how high you want to lift and how often you practice this. Typically, the ankles want to roll outward. And then lean back into your heels. See if you can pick the front of your foot up and then rock from toes to heels. And find your Tadasana, mountain pose. So root down through the tripod of your foot. Relax your shoulders, let your arms just dangle, maybe shake the hands out, maybe shake your whole body out. Roll out the shoulders. So I hope you enjoyed this short practice, focusing on the hands and the feet. And if you can incorporate parts of this, like as often as you can into your life, you might find a big difference in how your feet feel, how your hands feel, which of course translates to how everything in your body feels. So let me know how you like this video. Please share this with a friend and hope to see you again soon. Bye.